So what is NLP? Well, the Society of NLP defines it as the study of the structure of subjective experience. Bet you're glad you asked, aren't you? So if you take that definition apart a little bit, the two words that are most important there are structure, that's structure as opposed to content. So we're interested in the way that people think rather than what they're thinking. We're interested in the way that they behave rather than what they're actually doing, because there are patterns in the way that people do things that are not evident if you're just focusing on what's going on at that moment. So structure is an important word. The other bit that's important in that definition is the notion of subjective experience, because it recognises that everybody experiences things differently. Because of who we are and our past experiences, two people can sit in the same meeting or watch the same movie and come out at the end of it with a completely different idea about what it was all about and what was going on. And I'm sure you've had that experience of comparing notes with somebody after a meeting and realising that their idea of what was agreed and decided is quite different from your own. So if you start with the idea that you've got 5 senses, and you probably know that there's more going on in the world around you than your brain can actually take care of. What that means is that your senses filter out the information and get it down to a manageable amount so that your brain can process it and you can literally make sense of what's going on in the environment around you. So the consequence of that is that each one of us has our own unique map of the world, or model of the world, as it's often referred to in NLP. And on the basis of that individual map of the world, we will then react and respond differently to what goes on and what people say to us and the way that we interpret things happening in our surroundings. So NLP is interested in, first of all, that filtering process between the outside world and the inside world. It's also interested in, does that resulting map of the world actually help you do what you want to do? Is it going to support you in achieving your goals? Or have you got some thoughts and ideas in there that are effectively creating mental blocks and stopping you doing what you want to do? So if that is the case, then NLP is also interested in how can we change your map of the world by changing the filtering, changing the way that you interpret what you experience, so that your map of the world does then support you in doing what you want to do. And not surprisingly, what that means is that usually people who learn to practice NLP find that it's easier to achieve what they want to achieve. Now, there are 4 main areas that NLP can be useful in the workplace. Those 4 areas are managing yourself, communications, learning and development, and then also what I call emotional balance. So let's start with self-management. NLP gives us techniques for things like goal setting, for managing energy, for getting yourself in the right frame of mind to do whatever you're about to do. So if that's a demanding presentation where you need to be really focused and really alert, then you can get yourself in that state. If you've got to go and talk to the board and persuade them to come round to your way of thinking, maybe you're a little bit anxious about it, there are techniques that you can use to get yourself in a more positive frame of mind and not allow the nerves to get the better of you. So using NLP, you can learn to manage yourself more effectively. Communications is the area that most people are most interested in when they first come to NLP, because NLP gives us loads of ideas about how to understand other people so that we can really communicate with them in a way that makes sense in their way of thinking, and also then to influence them more effectively. So you'll find, if you practice NLP, that your working relationships become easier, become more cooperative and more productive. The third area I mentioned is learning and development. NLP originated in a process called modelling, which is really about distilling the essence of somebody else's skill so that you can understand not only what they're doing, but also how they're thinking about what they're doing, which is an important piece in being able to produce similar results. So, for example, if you have a sales team where you've got 2 or 3 people who are much better than the rest, you could model what they're doing that the others are not doing, and then teach the differences to the people who have not yet been getting such good results. And usually doing that, you'll find that you could bring the whole team up to a higher level of achievement, including the ones who were performing well to start with. And the fourth area is what I refer to as emotional balance, which is really about making sure that when people are emotional at work, then it's the emotions channeled in the right way. We have a bit of a legacy in the UK of thinking that emotion has no place in business. But of course the reality is that if you want people to give their heart and soul to their work, then that involves emotion. And not just positive emotion. People will get frustrated if they care about their work. People will occasionally lose their temper. They will get demoralised if things go wrong. And so NLP gives us techniques for accelerating the process of learning from the bad experiences and then moving forward in a way that you can treat today on today's merits instead of being hampered by baggage from the past. Now, if these things sound like issues that are common in your daily life, especially at work, and if you think that NLP could be useful in your organisation, then I'm sure that you would find that learning and practising NLP would make a big difference to the results that you can get, especially if you learn with brilliant minds.